welcome back to A Simply Good Life. It's been a really long time since I've done a video, but I had something pretty good to share, so I thought I would jump on camera and share with you my award-winning bread recipe. Yay! No, so I've been baking bread for a long time, and it used to be really bad, and then it got a bit better, and now I've made it to where I think I've got a really good loaf of bread, and I just won a blue ribbon at my local show to prove it. So I'm going to share some secret ingredients and a few tips with you. So I'm going to start off with just some lukewarm water. I use scales when I'm making my bread. So, hang on. I'll put the recipe down the bottom. People say, don't they, on the YouTube, down in the description box. That's right. So just zero off the scale. So it's 342 mils of lukewarm water. Yep. Wait till you see this bread. It's unreal. Ah, I've gone too far. Give me a sec. Cut that bit out. Oh, perfectionist tendencies come into play sometimes. That'll do. Alrighty, couple of teaspoons of sugar. Now, some people might think, I put sugar in bread, but I've learned just a little bit of sugar helps the crust get a little bit of colour on it. And it's not much, it's 2 teaspoons in a loaf of bread, you know. What do I do? A teaspoon of salt, whatever salt. I don't get hung up on salt, just salt. It helps with the flavour. And I'm putting these in this order. This is a specific order to load up the bread machine with. Actually, I haven't started this out very well, have I? You can tell I'm putting it in a bread machine container, but I'm not actually going to bake it in the bread machine. I'm just going to put it on a knead only function, and I'll go through all that later. So you have to put the ingredients in the order that your bread machine says. So all the wet stuff first, and then all the dry stuff on top. So then, this is one of my secret ingredients. There are recipes, bread recipes with eggs in them, but this is not normally in white bread. So 1 egg, crack it in. Oh, is that egg all right? That's a farm fresh egg. I think it just stuck to the, yeah, it's right. It just stuck to the shell. Give that a whisk. Sorry about the noise. Now, flour. Just zero your scales again. 600 grams of plain old flour. Not even special flour. It's just Coles variety flour. It's not bread flour, just flour. And it works every time. And I've tried it with proper bread flour, and it makes absolutely no difference. So maybe because there's extra protein in the egg I put in, that helps the protein in that isn't in the flour. I don't know, but anyway, that's just what I've learned and what I do, and it works. 600 grams of flour. The next secret ingredient, and this is the ingredient that makes the difference in this plain white loaf of bread, and it's cream of tartar. A teaspoon of cream of tartar with your flour helps the bread rise. It lifts the bread. It gives it that puff that it needs. I do find though that it's a little bit grainy and a bit lumpy, so I always just sift it over the top of the flour like that. I just don't want any clumps of cream of tartar, stuck in the bread anywhere. So that's just a little extra thing I do. Right, and the last thing we put in is the yeast. And I'm just going to make a little indent in the top of my hill of flour. So just make a little hollow like that. And that's just something the book says to do. I think, oh, I'm not sure why. I know that salt and yeast aren't friends, so maybe that's why. So 1.5 teaspoons of yeast, and that's it. And then we're going to take it to the bread machine, and it's just going to do the kneading for us. So come with me. This is my laundry. This is my second kitchen area. You can see it's got quite a few helpful appliances. I've got the Fowler-Vacola unit, a couple of bread makers, which I only ever use to knead with. I don't ever bake in them. And the dehydrator. All going on here. Hang on, I've got to turn the power on. Okay, so in with the dough, and we just want to, there's a dough function here, so you just keep hitting the menu button on my machine till we get to the dough function. Press start and call it good. It takes an hour and a half to knead this dough. You can do it by hand. I've done it by hand, but I'm lazy. I may as well just throw it in here and let the machine do it, and then I just do a tiny bit of work when it's finished and we call it good. Sometimes I've just got to grab a spatula and just get the side bits down in the first couple of minutes. It'll come good. It just seems to stick in the corners just a little bit, but it'll come good. Okay, so it's been an hour and a half and our dough has kneaded and risen beautifully. Look at that. Take it out into the kitchen. Okay, so we're just going to give it a little, this is the fun bit, give it a little punch down, get all that air out of it. Just flour up a breadboard. I tend to do this part on a breadboard because I've got granite bench tops and they are quite cold, and I find I lose too much heat in the dough when I roll it out onto the granite, so I stick a timber breadboard down and it just keeps the warmth in the dough a bit better. Okay, so just flour it up. Then you want to squish just the littlest bit of flour, it doesn't need much. Squish it down, and then this is another little secret, is to roll the bread out into a rough rectangle shape. You want it to be, you want it to fit, you want it to be that wide, if that makes sense. And luckily for me, the breadboard I use is about the same width as my bread tin. So that's easy. Now, just make it a rough. You don't have to be gentle with it. It's very forgiving. Just a quick little mention of bread tins. This is made in Australia. I don't know what brand it is. I bought it from the local kitchen, proper kitchen shop, and it's really thick. It's some sort of pressed metal of some sort with somewhat of a non-stick surface on the inside. So a good tin is half the battle. Trust me, I've tried other tins until I got this tin. Good results, but not great results. Alrighty, so then we just want to roll it up, and we want to roll it tight into a log and just try and keep it even. Tuck your little ends in, squish it if it goes uneven. Try and keep a little square shape at the end there, rectangle shape. Okay, we have our log. You can pinch the bottom if you want, just to seal it up underneath. I haven't oiled this tin, I haven't lined it, it just goes straight in. And then you squish your bread into shape in the tin, like that. Okay, and then you just put the bread to bed. That's hard to say. Just somewhere a bit warm, bit draft free, and I usually let it rise to twice its height, which for me just means it's ever so slightly higher than the top of this tin, and that's how I know it's ready. In fact, I probably put the oven on to warm up just as it gets to the top of the tin, because it takes a good 10 minutes for the oven to warm up. So we're just going to put that over here and call it good. And a word on tins is another little word on tins. I have another bread tin, hang on. Same tin, same everything, different colour on the outside. This tin was the first tin I had. It's a bigger tin. It tends to stick, and it sticks because I once made fruit loaf in it, and the sticky fruit loaf, the fruit just stuck to the edge of the tin, and I had to scrub it a lot to get it off, and somewhere, somehow in that process, it sort of lost its non-stickness. So when I bake in this tin, I do have to line it. So I would suggest, if you get a tin like this, I don't wash them up. When I'm finished baking a loaf of bread, I basically just let any little bits of bread that might be there just dry, and I just wipe it out with a dry cloth. And I don't put oil sprays on it. I think oil sprays and butters and things build up a residue on the side of the tin. So that tin there's never been washed up, it's never been used to bake anything sticky or fruity, and it's never lost its non-stick. I mean, when you think about it, in a commercial bakery, I'm sure they don't go washing their bread tins up at the end of every day. They just throw them out onto the counter and stack them up. So I don't think they're meant to be washed up, is my theory on that. Okay, so the bread's doubled in size. It looks puffy and good, just the way I want it. Yep, and I've preheated the oven to 220 degrees. Just throw it in the oven. I don't worry about any steam or spray or any fussing. It just goes in the oven for 20, lately I've been doing it 22 minutes. At first I was doing it at 20 minutes, but I think 22 is just a little bit better. So come back. All right, time's up. Oven off. Oh, always got to stand. Look, now I'll fog my glasses up. Alrighty, let's take this little baby out of the oven. Look at that. Aha, hot, 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 hot. In a minute, when it hits the cold air, I'll lean down into it and you can hear it crackle. Hasn't started crackling yet. I'll get it out of the tin. There we go. One pretty good looking loaf of bread. Simple. Couple of tricks, couple of techniques, and your family will think you're a superhero.
a good thick slice.
Isn't it? There you go.
Yeah, it's so good. So good. Look, and I'll eat this bit, so I'm just going to press on it. Just look how spongy and, you know, it's just... It's
Real bread. Proper bread.
Proper bread consistency, you know.
Not pasty or something. I don't know what they do to other bread, but anyway.
And it tastes so good. Oh, lots of butter and a good helping of widespread Vegemite.
Widespread.
Look at that. Hey? You can't show me on the film.
It's my cameraman.
Good stuff. Best.
Stop talking with your hands.